The just-ended Forum for China-Africa Cooperation has presented both an opportunity and a risk for Africa. An opportunity in the sense that the $60 billion has been availed to Africa for trade and investment, and a risk in the sense that Africa may lose more than it will gain when it comes to natural resources. Even though President Xi Jinping was commended for not mentioning natural resources in his momentous speech, the fact of the matter is that Africa's biggest attraction is its natural resources. With $60 billion on the table, the biggest question is, how will this money be shared? Common sense, of course, dictates that one with exceptional negotiation skills will definitely get decent pieces of the pie. So, besides what Zambia got through bilateral engagements, what's the plan regarding the money? Is Zambia's capacity to negotiate enough to maximize the $60 billion? Relevant stakeholders feel Africa should have invested more in knowing what it wants from China besides individual negotiations.
So in terms of our engagement with China, I think we do have to recognize the fact that there are a number of turnkey projects that are being undertaken by predominantly Chinese firms in Zambia. And when we talk about manufacturing and ensuring that there is this trickle-down effect and actual growth in the Zambian economy, we actually then need to ensure that the inputs that go into those turnkey projects are being sourced locally. I think we talk very often about Buy Zambian, and the reason for that is to ensure that we're building Zambia. For as long as we maintain our key infrastructure projects as projects that are sourcing key inputs such as, let's say, cement, or even the wires, the electrical cables that go into these sorts of projects from outside of Zambia, then we're doing ourselves a disservice as a country ultimately. And we do need to ensure that whenever we are negotiating or allowing for these turnkey projects to be undertaken by various large firms, be they Chinese or any other sort of foreign entity, we do have to make sure that we have a provision in there for sourcing local. That's the only way we're going to grow our economy. Otherwise, effectively what we're doing is exporting those jobs to our counterparts.
Besides President Lungu traveling with an entourage of businessmen and women, the Zambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry feels more must be done to access foreign markets.
How can we seize the opportunities in China when we cannot even produce basic products? They are able to seize the opportunity in Zambia because they are able to produce, their industrial base is advanced. So for us to be able to exploit their market, we really first have to work on our productive capacity for us to exploit their market. And I cannot say that we are not allowed into the Chinese market. If we do not have the industrial base, we can only complain that we are not allowed in the Chinese market if we are able to produce something that we can export in the market. We cannot even exploit our own market. How can we then talk about exploiting the outside markets? So it all borders on ourselves as a nation in terms of improving our industrial base, in terms of working on our industrial base, so that we are able to produce something that we can then go and showcase in the Chinese market.
Now, Zambia secured a $60 million package from China, which comprises $30 million interest-free and $30 million grant for the Lusaka East Multi-Facility Economic Zone. Seasoned economist and journalist Chibamba Kanyama adds his thoughts on this development.
My feeling is that we are paying too much on interest, and I think that's where the problem is. Right now, we're paying too much. Once you get closer to 30% of your budget going towards debt servicing, it's really too expensive.
Did we get a raw deal on the Eurobonds? Do you think so? Especially on the interest side, you've got one at about 9%, the other at almost 11-12%. Could we have sourced cheaper?
No, we went through a broker, and when you go through a broker, this what we call financial arrangers, intermediaries, they will really find you the best source of a bond is it's the creditor who determines the rate. You give it, leave it or take it. I mean, you, the person who is offering it, will determine this is how much we're ready to borrow. And if there are no takers on that one, you increase a little bit again. And if there are no takers, increase. So in other words, Zambia may have offered different options to the takers. And the first offer it gave and it was taken. So the first one, the second one, the third one, the appetite was very huge. So it indicates to you maybe we overpriced or underpriced, whatever it could be. We may have done better, but the first one was good.
As China continues on its quest to become a global economic powerhouse, will Zambia leverage opportunities that will ensue from its relationship with China for the betterment of ordinary Zambians? Diamond TV News, Winston Mavor.